Electrocution sure is a nasty way to go. It can happen by accident, sometimes on purpose. Regardless, it affects mortality rates. Such as with these animals. Elephants. Aside from being threatened globally by habitat loss and being slaughtered by hunters for their precious ivory tusks, believe it or not, the elephant's mortality rate is also severely affected by power lines. Elephants are known to normally live in the wild, however, there are times when they move towards or near human towns and settlements in search of water to drink. Pretty common because the air there is quite arid. One example of an event happened in late 2017 in central Botswana. A herd of elephants from a nearby game reserve was electrocuted after they knocked down a power line while they struggled among themselves to get to the water gushing from a broken water pipe. The 9 elephants died immediately from shock when the cables from the knockdown power line passed the pool of water from the gushing pipe. Another incident of elephants being affected by power lines happened in another country. This country was VRT Kava in India, when an elephant was electrocuted on private land after a power line snapped and fell right on an 8-year-old elephant. Vultures. Vultures, also known as scavengers of the wild, are often ignored, though they do play an integral part in the ecosystem. Without vultures, there'd be no creatures to clean up after the dead carcasses. They're known to have immensely corrosive stomach acid that makes it safe for them to consume rotting carcasses that may be infected with toxins, rabies, and other substances. Thus, without them, there's a risk of spreading diseases among the surrounding animals and humans. Sadly, vultures are also included as one of several animals affected by power line electrocutions in South Africa. It was in 2016 that news about an increase in the number of vulture power line mortalities was reported. Several vultures are seen by the public lying underneath the power lines, either dead, unresponsive, or injured. These creatures are most vulnerable to the electrical power line due to their massive wingspan and large heavy bodies. They also live in treeless environments, forcing these birds to perch on the electric poles, thus increasing the probability of electrocution, especially with their sunning behavior or when they have wet feathers. Reptiles. South Africa is a country that's abundant with enclosed ranches, farms, and even reserves. Electric fencing and tripwires are incorporated into the vicinity to keep out unwanted visitors, whether animal or human, and to keep the animals inside protected. Tripwires, positioned about half a foot from the group, are meant to zap and scare off lions and wild pigs away, but not all animals react that way. Reptiles, like tortoises, do not run away when they hit tripwires. Instead, they withdraw into their shells, staying in place and in contact with the live wire until their heart stops beating due to shock. According to a news article, farmers would find a handful of dead tortoises in the space of 100 meters. Turns out that they're not only vulnerable to poaching and bushfires, but electric fences too. In a 2008 study, about 21,000 reptiles in South Africa were shocked to death after coming near electric fences. According to a documented research project, reptiles such as leopard tortoises, southern African pythons, and rock monitors were species most frequently found dead. Giraffes. An elephant isn't the only big animal there is. There is also the giraffe, known for its long neck and tall stature, and similar to the elephant, giraffes are also one of the most endangered species due to illegal hunting, poaching, human interference, and human habitat destruction. Without these creatures, the country would suffer economically due to them being one of the main tourist attractions that contribute to the country's GDP, and environmentally because when they're deleted from the ecosystem, there'd be an imbalance in the food chain and thus affecting the biodiversity and ecosystem as a whole. Due to their similarity in size, giraffes also run the risk of getting electrocuted by power lines. In fact, 3 were found dead recently, and they were part of a very rare giraffe species called the Rothschild giraffe. They're known to conservationists to have an estimated of fewer than 1,600 species left in the wild after they were deemed endangered in 2010. There's really an only estimated 600 species left at this point, but 3 were found dead after being electrocuted by low-hanging power lines within a conservation area. Sadly, these deaths were not even the first occurrence. Saker falcons. The Saker falcon is a species of significant conservation and cultural importance that has experienced rapid recent declines, with the majority of the remaining global population concentrated in Central Asia's Mongolian and Xinjiang Tibetan plateaus. Saker falcons face a serious and growing threat of electrocution at electricity distribution lines. Even in these vast, remote refuges, because the concrete poles and galvanized steel hardware are electrical conductors, they make ground-perched birds that touch a live cable. A paper published in the Journal of Raptor Research describes the findings of surveys conducted by Mongolian researchers as part of a project coordinated by the Emirates Falconers Club in Abu Dhabi. According to the paper, the electrocution problem is widespread and persistent. Some of these power lines are capable of killing massive numbers of falcons, with 490 Saker falcons electrocuted at one 56-kilometer line in a single year. Electrocution rates were highest in late summer when juvenile birds congregated in areas with high densities of their colonial rodent prey where power poles are attractive perch sites for young falcons. This would be a pretty attractive perch site for young falcons in the featureless open landscape of the Mongolian steppe. Columbus monkeys. Because of urban advancement and the improvement of electrification in cities causing the fragmentation of habitats, the Columbus monkeys are facing a high mortality rate due to electrocution. According to Columbus Conservation, an organization that's dedicated to conserving the threatened monkeys and primates on the south coast of Kenya, monkey electrocution consists of 16% of the organization's calls and is the leading cause of death of the Columbus monkey. These monkeys, mainly using tree canopies, adapted to infrastructure by traveling around using electrical power lines, especially during summer when the monkeys keep moving in search of food and water, thus proving it to be lethal to their safety because of the high risk of electrocution, thus causing terrifying injuries or even death to the primates, seeing that their survival rate after electrocution is quite low. In order to save this vulnerable species, the conservation group decided to pair up with the power company to insulate the power lines in areas that are known to be electrocution hotspots. There's also the transfer of transformers from electrocution hotspots to less crowded areas. Foxes. Minks are not the only animals that are coveted for their fur. Foxes and raccoon dogs are also farmed for their fur as well. Electrocution is one of the common ways of killing foxes and raccoon dogs with the help of neck tongs and nose clips. The animal then dies of a heart attack and the loss of brain function. Foxes in the farms are euthanized by being electrocuted anally as routine practice, which is just messed up to read. An apparatus with 2 electrodes is usually used, one being inserted through the rectum and the other into the mouth. According to the council, there must be 2 people present for fox euthanasia. The process must be done out of sight of other foxes in the vicinity as well. The death of the fox must meet the humane death criteria, which means that the method of extinguishing the fox should lead to an immediate loss of consciousness and then cardiac arrest. Granted, this isn't always the case. There were cases when a fox farmer killed one fox in front of another, or when an already electrocuted fox regained consciousness and tried to escape. Again, very messed up. Now it's time for the day's best pick. They may be terrifying predators, but it's still sad when they die while in a desperate attempt to stay alive. Leopards. Similar to elephants and giraffes, leopards also run the risk of being caught by hunters. Oddly enough, these predators have also been appearing in the news for getting electrocuted either from climbing power lines or caught on the tripwire on farms. Also, sometimes they're found just dead on top of an electric transformer. There are several instances of this sad event in southern Asia. An example is when a dead electrocuted leopard was found hanging on high-voltage wires on Mahabharata's Warda. According to the news, the leopard went into the human settlement in order to find water to drink. It then encountered several street dogs who then started barking and attacking it, leading it to flee. In order to save itself, the leopard climbed the electric pole and then died from electrocution due to the high-tension wires. The villagers found out about this through the minor explosion and the following power outage in the surrounding area. A lineman was called to handle the power outage, and it was then that the dead leopard was found hanging on the wires. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it really works. Pets. Wild animals are not the only ones at risk of electrocution. Your own pets could also be affected. Aside from the ways mentioned above, some more causes of electrical shock in pets are from electrical cords when your pet chews on them, and lightning. Thus, never leave your pets outside during rainstorms. In February of 2022, Lala, a 4-year-old dog, was electrocuted after stepping on a metal plate while taking a walk in Brooklyn. Lala, unfortunately, did not survive the electrocution. It was said that when the dog stepped on the metal plate, it started screaming, fell over, and immediately stopped breathing. There was immediate cardiac arrest. The dog didn't even survive even after someone rushed over to help and give her CPR. The electrocution was due to the removal of a street lamp from the spot, and the steel over the removed street lamp was carrying an electric current. At that time as well, the electrical wires were also exposed to the snow, causing a live charge to occur. Thus, when the dog stepped over the affected area, she was immediately electrocuted. See you all next time.